All right, folks, it was Diddy's day in court to find out what his fate was going to be. And of course, you had victim impact statements. His children testified. Of course, wrote a letter to the judge as well. And there was a lot happening today in court. Candace Kelly, legal analyst, she joins us right now. Candace was in the courtroom. She's been following this trial from the beginning. So Candace, something crazy happened when the assistant U.S. attorney announced that Diddy had booked some speaking engagements. Blew up on social. When I looked it up, it was a re-entry program that had these listed, and it was a letter they sent to the judge basically saying all these things he's going to do for people in the re-entry area. That still was beyond stupid. How in the hell, we're going to get to the sentencing. How in the hell did his attorneys allow that to get in where one of the speaking engagements was literally Monday in Miami at like 6 p.m.?
This was really a day of clarifications all around. That is really what this day was about. And I think that when that happened, when the let's say Christy Slavic, who prosecuting attorney, when she got into it, it seemed strange that he would have this speaking engagement, but it was clarified that, like you said, it was more of an engagement that had to do with helping and bettering the community, but still, it just didn't look good. It'd been possible that he would think that he would actually get off, and it just wasn't a good way to kind of enter into the court and say, yeah, he's got a speaking engagement, he was going to entertain all of a sudden on Monday as soon as he
Like
got
the
off.
judge literally was going to say, you know what, I'm going to give you probation. Diddy, you can go ahead and go home.
Exactly. And we all knew that that is not the way that it was going to go, especially with, you had the prosecuting attorneys wanting 11 years and 3 months. Then on the other side, you had the defense team wanting 14 months. There's just no way overall that he was going to be walking out anywhere, not with this judge being a life judge and wanting to continue to have respect from his peers. No, he was going to give him a sentence where he would not be walking out. That certainly was the expectation at the beginning, and it certainly was the expectation as court unfolded, regardless of what the defense put up. It seemed as though the judge was leaning towards a sentence where he was not going to be going home this weekend at all. And that is exactly what happened.
So Diddy's team wanted 14 months. The prosecution wanted 11 years. Walk us through how the judge arrived at 4 years, 2 months.
Well, what the judge said, and as I said, it was a day of really trying to figure out, was it A or was it B? The A or B meaning, do we count the way that Sean Combs acted in that we heard in court, even though he wasn't convicted of anything having to do with abuse, for example, right? He didn't get the sex trafficking. That sex trafficking involved force or coercion. Well, that wasn't on the table because he was cleared of those particular charges. But the question became for the court, and what the judge made very, very clear is that even though he wasn't convicted of anything having to do with domestic violence or force, we can still consider, the judge and the courts can still consider what his behavior was and how he came off inside of court. And those particular actions can be considered in this sentencing phase. And no matter what the defense said, he wasn't convicted of these crimes. Why are we considering this? He's done so much good in the community. He's an icon. He started a program behind bars where he's brought all types of people together to learn how to better themselves. All of these details just didn't matter. The fact that he was violent, which is what the defense acquiesced to, the fact that that he was convicted of prostitution and also was a drug addict, again, the defense acquiesced to that and said, yes, he was a full-fledged drug addict. All of that came into play. The judge considered it, and he certainly considered it in this sentencing. And that's how he arrived at this. Now, the defense all along was saying, even up until last week, yeah, but he actually didn't have sex with anybody involved. He really was just a voyeur. He just kind of, managed things that was going on. And the judge to that in his filing said, well, that's just like saying someone runs a brothel and they're okay because they didn't have sex with everybody that was in the rooms at the brothel. It wouldn't matter. You run a brothel, you're still in trouble. So that, he said, was a faulty argument. So that's really how the judge came to this conclusion. But I want to say this, Roland, that it was an interesting day because it was a slower day than people expected in terms of who we heard from. At one point, somebody next to me wrote, "It feels like church." And it did feel like church because we heard from somebody by the name of Reverend Dr. Gary Johnson. And he talked about how, and he's from Miami, and he said that he knew Sean Combs. And he said that if you let him go, Judge, if you practice leniency, I will personally take him under my wing. I will personally, basically nurse him back. I will manage him. I will see to it that he is going to meet all of your highest expectations. And someone else came up and they talked about a program that they were a part of, and they reminisced about their program and how they changed people while they were behind bars, and they felt like that Sean's journey was similar to his journey. So again, it felt a little bit like church. We heard a lot of the testimony recounted, and then, as you said, we heard from the children. We heard their passionate pleas. We heard how they, his 2-year-old would be missing a father. There were a lot of tears. All of the children spoke. Of course, he's a 2-year-old, but they also spoke on behalf of the 2-year-old, saying, "Listen, I know what it's like not to have a mother. We don't want our 2-year-old sister not having a father." They were very, very impassioned. But we also saw an 11-minute video. It was kind of like a promo video, Roland. It was, Sean out in the community over the years, talking to kids, opening up schools, running the marathon. This 11-minute video was very interesting, very out of the ordinary from the times that I've been in court, kind of promoted who he was as this person, as this icon, kind of a step to the left of what we normally see. But the judge let everything in, which is why, even though I got to the court at 6 a.m., we just got out at about 5 something. It was a long day because we heard from so many people, and again, saw promotional videos and heard arguments from many, many people. What was key was that we heard from Sean Combs, though, for 10 minutes. And he spoke, he was collected. He was the last person that we heard from. Roland, I will say that it was very powerful. But I think that the judge and his assessment of him just didn't believe him. Sean, he stood up, uh, and he said, "I want to personally apologize. I don't take lightly what happened. I want to apologize to my family. I want to apologize to Jane. I'm sorry for bringing her into this mess," he said. He said that disgusting video that people saw of him beating Cassie triggered a lot of people. He said, "It's a burden I will forever carry." He said, "It was disgusting." I'm quoting. He said, "It was shameful, sick." He said, "I was sick from drugs. I was out of control. I needed help. I know better. I was taught better." I mean, he went on and on. He spoke to his children specifically, told them that he was humble to his core. He said, "I hate myself right now. I'm stripped down to nothing. I apologize to my children. I fell to y'all as a father. I'm sorry. You deserve better. Mom, I'm sorry. You taught me better." I mean, he turned around. He looked everybody in their eyes. He just kept emotionally saying, "I am sorry. I'm sorry." He talked about how he felt his community. He said that he grew up wanting to set an example, and all that he could do. That was his mission. And he, quote, "got lost." A couple of times he took some deep breaths and he said, "Listen, Your
Yep.
Honor, if I'm given a chance to change people, I'm going to prove to you that I can do it." He just said he wanted a chance. He said, "I know you want to make me an example, but I want to be the example of someone who can go out and really turn themselves around." He ended the day, and then the judge eventually gave his sentence, as we all know, for 50 months, and then also a $500,000 fine, and Roland 5 years probation
Last point,
thereafter.
he's already served how much time in jail?
What's that? He's already served. We are at 13 months.
So really, he will be serving another 3 years.
Yeah, and then you have to take off maybe, 10 months or so simply because federal sentences, they only serve about 85% of the time.
Got it. All right, Candace, we certainly appreciate you breaking it down for us. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, Roland.
All right.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase, and I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.